I do love me a good game with giant robots in it, and if that giant robot can fire bullets, missiles, lasers and stuff, that's even better. So what do you get when you bring together giant robots with the publishers that gave you Earth Defense Force, the one where you shoot the giant bugs, not to be confused with the other one from the 90s? You get Custom Mech Wars, a third-person action game where not only do you fight in giant robots, you can make those giant robots, and the imagination and weight of the robot is the limit. Custom Mech Wars is set in the near future where Earth is threatened by a large comet. While the comet won't hit the Earth directly, the effects it would have on the Sun will cause seismic, volcanic and electromagnetic activity on parts of Earth, so humanity in the affected areas were relocated elsewhere or sheltered away. While the towns and cities are uninhabited, the world has created G-Mechs, robots run by autonomous AI to protect those towns and cities 24/7, until the comet passes and it's safe once again for humanity to live in. In this game you play as a new recruit for the 4-7 Security Service, a team who provide various services such as crime prevention, building maintenance and natural disaster recovery. Of course the team uses G-Mechs to help with these tasks, so why would you, a human, be hired? Well, your job is to perform maintenance on the G-Mechs, and what better way to perform maintenance and be safe than to be given your own state-of-the-art manually controlled G-Mech to do so. You're also assisted by other members of 4-7 Security and their support AI, RBCD, or RB for short. One day, the AI-controlled G-Mechs suddenly start to go rogue, and it's up to you and the team to find out what's going on. But, is the game any good? Find out in The Good. Okay, let's state the obvious here. The best part about this game is building the mechs that you can use. You can store up to 100 designs and 5 of those designs will be active, and these are the mechs that you will take with you into each mission. If your mech gets destroyed in battle, you take too much damage, or the mech you're using is not suitable for the situation, you can switch to one of the other 4 active units. If all 5 units are destroyed, you fail the mission. You can collect new parts by destroying the rogue G-Mechs and collecting the yellow cylinder drops that they can leave behind. If you're lucky, you might come across what looks to be a rare transport G-Mech trying to flee the scene, and if you nab it quickly enough, you can get a rare part out of it. Another way that you can get new parts is to get out of your mech and capture it using your bazooka. You can fire anti-material rounds to disable the mech, making it easier for capture, or just fire the capture round straight away. This is significantly riskier as your pilot can only take a certain amount of hits in a short period of time. There's limited capture ammo, and not every G-Mech can be captured. Parts obtained comes in 3 sizes, small, medium and large, and the type of parts that can be used will alter the mech's performance. For example, smaller leg parts will allow your mech to move fast, but limits the max weight for it, while larger parts increase the weight limit at the cost of walking speed. A mech needs to simply have legs and a chest to be complete. After that, whatever goes. You could have a mech with lots of legs or several heads and arms. You can even load a mech up with a whole bunch of weapons, and as long as you can carry them all, you'll be fine. The game's optional DLC will allow you to collect parts from robots and vehicles as featured in EDF 4.1 and EDF 5, complete with side story content, and you can also get accessories from other games published by D3 Publisher such as Dream Seed Club, Bullet Girls, Omega Labyrinth and Samurai Maiden, which you can add as decals or use as camouflage. Parts are also categorised by quality and level, and the higher the quality, the better the part is, and that can be based on things such as how much it weighs, or in the case of a weapon, higher quality ones will do more damage. As you complete missions, you will also get various metals which you can use to research and create parts, as well as choosing the level of quality for them. I had a lot of fun making a bunch of different mechs, and while it's time consuming, it's time well spent. The game's story I think is pretty decent. I wouldn't expect the over-the-top levels of humour that EDF brings to the table, but some of that is the charm of its English dub. The voices in this game are Japanese only, and that's absolutely fine too, especially given that there are some familiar voices that make up the cast, and as special voices for Abi. None of the characters in Custom Mech Wars are named. Instead, everyone is known by their titles, such as Lead, Manager, Engineering and President, with you being known as Newbie. Later on, you and Lead do get the codenames of Beret 1 and 2. The game does explore the ideas of humanity and AI working together and against each other, which is surprisingly serious, contrasting some of the comments and banter from EDF. Once you reach the final mission, you even get the classic trope of a theme song playing while you engage in the final battle and everyone cheering you on, which never gets old. However, the game does have its share of issues and we'll explore those in The Bad. While collecting parts is fine and all, getting the right parts is definitely a chore as I feel that they are randomised. While you can capture enemy G-Mechs, the parts you get from them are generally parts that the captured unit doesn't even have. Difficulty does affect the quality of parts and size too, and it's recommended you play through the game on normal first to get a feel for things, or hard for a slight challenge. After you beat the game, very hard and nightmare are unlocked, which will reward you with larger and better parts, but enemies will hit harder and be more durable. There is a bit of a grind to get enough materials to research the part that you're after too, and again, playing on higher difficulties will make getting these materials easier. While I don't mind grinding to get the parts I want, I'm not a huge fan of it all being randomised and not relating to any units that I capture. I also feel that the game seems to lack the spirit that EDF has. Sure, the buildings get levelled as you fight in the cities, and watching buildings crumble has always been fun in EDF, but in this game it sort of just feels bland in comparison. And unfortunately, when mechs are destroyed, they explode and disappear, unlike exploding into pieces and spraying blood everywhere or ragdolling like an EDF. I get that these are robots and not giant bugs or aliens, but I think having parts fly off and damage things would have been cool too. You and the enemy mechs can lose weapons and parts from damage, which can hinder the mech's performance at the very least, but the part will just fall off and disappear. Mech AI could also use some work, as some of the enemy G-Mechs just mindlessly move towards you and don't even attempt to dodge your attacks. And I remember how one of the boss mechs I had to fight was just walking into a bridge, making it a prime target, while ally AI will just walk in your path so that you'll walk into them and damage your mech. Given that your mech gets destroyed if the legs go, then you can imagine how much of a nuisance that would be. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say about this game, so let's wrap things up with the opinion. Custom Mech Wars isn't a bad game, but it isn't a great game either. From first appearances, it looks to be that this is just EDF with big robots, but this isn't entirely the case. The game doesn't seem to capture the same spirit EDF has, but the customization options do certainly make up for it, and when it comes to things, your imagination is what makes the customization and creations of mechs the charm of it. In terms of gameplay, I think if you enjoy mindless, dumb fun simply shooting up and destroying enemy G-Mechs and buildings with your creations, then you'll get some joy out of it. The game does have multiplayer where you can tackle missions with friends, but unfortunately I've had no luck finding people online the times I've tried. The story, while reasonably serious, isn't exactly outstanding, but if you're looking for more serious robot games with customization options, then you have Mass Builder, Daemon X Machina and Armored Core for that. Even with more light-hearted games, the Gundam Breaker series can fill that mold too. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a place for Custom Mech Wars. I still had fun with the game, it's just not something to spend full price on, says the guy who bought the game for review at full price. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Custom Mech Wars this Dream Sea club train with arms and legs and a submachine gun on the front with an Omega Labyrinth truck on top and a Bullet Girl's car on top of that, out of 10. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.